Konnichiwa everybody, welcome back. So, the mighty Megadrive and the best racers on it. I think you probably argue that the Megadrive is not the best platform for racing games, really. But obviously, I like my races. People know it's my favourite kind of game. So I thought it might be worthwhile throwing this little video together of my favourite ones on the Megadrive. Like I say, it's probably not the best period for racers, purely because I don't think the technology wasn't quite there yet to do what they were trying to do, was it really? You know, it was kind of a bit beyond what the technology was capable of in the home at the time. That said, there's still some mighty fine stuff. And also, there's some stuff that's aged really badly. And I played a few prior to doing this video to sort of see and remind myself what they were like, and that they haven't aged well. I've got to be honest, some of them. However, that said, there are still some really good ones on the Megadrive. So if you like your races, you've probably heard of all and played all these, but who knows, maybe there might be the odd one. I think for me, the SNES is much the better platform for racers. Probably because of Mode 7. It generally, I think there was better quality racers on the SNES if you'd got to pick between the two. But like I say, there's still some great stuff on the Megadrive. So I think I'm gonna try and put these in some kind of order. So it's kind of a top 10, I suppose. But they've all got their merits, and my order might change next week, so it's largely irrelevant, but I'll put them in some kind of order where I think is my top 10. Now there's a few, like I say, which have aged really badly. Some were terrible to start with, obviously. That Kawasaki motorbike game sticks out in my mind as being awful. And I think some of the F1 style games, I don't think they've aged particularly well. I mean, I used to love Nigel Mansell's Grand Prix on the SNES, really. But I played the Megadrive version yesterday just to see what it was like. And I mean, I can see why I liked it, but I don't think it's aged particularly well. And the same for that Dalmark F1 game. I was never a massive fan of that, but again, I really don't think that's aged very well. Street Racer, I never got on with. I know lots of people love that. Again, I played that again yesterday. It's nice graphically, but I just never liked the game. It's all corners, there's no straights. It really irritated me and still does. But it looks nice. So if you like that kind of thing, but I mean, it's a poor man's Mario Kart at the end of the day. Chase HQ 2 you can get on the Megadrive. I never played, and I tried that yesterday. Wasn't a fan of that. I must say again, the SNES version is much better. And then you've got stuff like Double Clutch and Combat Cars, like the Overhead style racer. Again, it's not a genre I particularly like, the Overhead racer. I'd got visions of Double Clutch being quite good in my mind, but when I tried it, I really didn't think it was very good. Combat Cars, I used to have that, and when I sold all my PAL games, that one went, because there's no Japanese version. And that's still reasonable, to be honest. As Overhead racers go, I don't think that's bad. I think it's a PAL exclusive. It's an Accolade game in like a browny, orangey box. Not a bad game, that. And then, sort of stepping up a bit in quality from there, these are all games I don't physically own. Either because I don't want them or there's no Japanese version. But stepping on from that, you've got Power Drive Rally. Now that is really good, and it's kind of an isometric overhead rally game. Lovely graphics. I've got it on the Jaguar somewhere. Yeah, I've got it on the Jaguar, so you know I don't need the Megadrive version. But it is really lovely graphics on this. So I think that's close to a top 10 game, I would say. That is really good. Now this, I think, possibly is a top 10 game, and I really regret selling it, because I used to have I can't remember if it was Japanese or American version. There's now PAL version, and that's Road Blasters. That is a really good game. I didn't put it in the top 10 because I'm a bit on the fence as to whether it's really a racing game. It's kind of more of a shooting. You're driving a car on a track, but it's predominantly about shooting. So I'm not sure where it falls, whether it is a racer or a shooter. But it is a fantastic version on the Megadrive, and I really regret selling that. It's really, really good. I would like to get that back, if I'm honest. I think I had the Genesis version, if I remember rightly, and sold it thinking I'll get the Japanese one, and it's gone quite expensive and I've just never got it. So I don't know, maybe one day. But Road Blasters is a cracking game. Then there's a Genesis exclusive of Top Gear 2, which to me is a SNES game. I'd never played the Mega Drive version up until yesterday. It's nowhere near as nice as the SNES one, but it is a damn good game. So if you've only got a Mega Drive, definitely worth playing. That said, it's a Genesis exclusive, and I've certainly never seen it cheap. And I believe it's quite a late game, so I can imagine it's even more expensive now. So, like I say, for me, it's a SNES game, but it's still a cracking game. Then another one which is really good is Super Off-Road. Again, I used to have that PAL, in the nice cardboard box, but it went with all my other PAL games, and again, there's no Japanese version, so I've never rebought it, and I've got it on other systems, so I don't feel the need. But it is a cracking version on the Mega Drive. And then the last one, sort of honourable mentions, if you like, I've dragged on a bit, I know, is another Accolade game. Again, I used to have and sold when I got rid of all the PAL. There's no Japanese version, and that's Test Drive 2. And I must be honest, I tried it yesterday, and I thought to myself, this is going to be one of the ones that's aged really badly. And I tried it, and I was quite surprised. I mean, yes, it looks a bit clunky. It hasn't got a very good frame rate, but it's still good to play. It really surprised me how well it's held up. If you like that, I mean, at the time, it felt like you were driving a real car. It felt like a simulation. Obviously, it isn't, but compared with the regular stuff, that's how it felt. But it still plays really well. I was really, really surprised. It's a shame I sold that, but it's one of them, innit? I didn't want all these sort of PAL boxes interfering with the Japanese boxes, so it had to go. But cracking game anyway. Right. Oh, beg your pardon. We've got one more honourable mention, and that is another overhead game. And I mean, they're excellent games, don't get me wrong, but it's one of these. Is it a racing game? But it's a driving game, and it's the Micro Machines anyway. Obviously, there's 4 of them on the Mega Drive. I don't really think it matters which one you've got or play. They're all more or less the same. I've personally got the second one, but it doesn't matter. The first one, second one, 96 or military, they're all the same game essentially. All fantastic. Is it a racing game? I'm not so sure. It's more of a party sort of fun game, isn't it? Set in racing little cars. I mean, it's really, really good. And give me that over the modern ones any day of the week. Right, we're on to the actual, what I consider my top 10 Mega Drive racing games. So, first up, we've got Turbo Outrun. it's a lovely box. Even the PAL box is nice. It's not a great game, I've got to say, but in the grand scheme of what's available on the Megadrive, it's just snuck in at number 10. I don't even think the arcade's a particularly great game, I've got to say. I played it a bit back in the day as a bit of a alternative to playing Outrun, but I didn't play it very much. My 10 pences went in the Outrun cab. It just, I think if it hadn't got the Outrun name, I think it would be more or less forgotten, to be honest, this game. I just don't think it's that great. I don't think it plays particularly well and handles particularly well. It's a nice graphics and everything. I like the aspect of going through the different states and the weather changing and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think it plays anywhere near as good as the original. But however, we've got Turbo Outrun at number 10. In a similar vein, number 9, and I've got Outrunners. Excuse the glare, this one's in a box protector. I mean, again, an absolutely stunning box. You can only get this Japanese and American. No, I never played the arcade version of this. I've never seen an arcade cab. I've played it on emulation. Unfortunately, this Megadrive port is a pale comparison of the arcade game, as you would expect. I mean, it was a bit kind of optimistic to put this on the Megadrive, wasn't it? If only they'd have put it on the Saturn or even the 32X, I think this could have been awesome. The permanent split screen I don't think helps. I don't like that kind of thing generally myself. You know, if you're playing a one-player game, I don't want it in split screen. It's just, I think it's a poor concept. But anyway, I've not tried it as a two-player game. Obviously, I've got no friends. But again, I played all these yesterday, and it was better than I remember it being. To be honest, it was all right. And it kind of surprised, it by no means brilliant, but it kind of surprised me, and it is decent. And it's got some like original Outrun style music in it, and it kind of feels a lot more like Outrun than Turbo does. I mean, the graphics on the arcade are beautiful, but obviously nothing like that on the Megadrive. But it's not bad. Definitely want to try an emulation. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to go and buy a copy because it's quite expensive. And I'm sure the American one's definitely region locked, because I've got the American one as well. Because I'm sure I think they're both region locked, because I think that's why I ended up with the American one, because I've got a Genesis, and the Japanese one didn't run on it. Obviously you can put a converter in it, but to, you know, disable the lockout chip. But I ended up buying the American one just so as I was not messing about with the converter. I'll just grab that actually. It's not such a nice box, the American, but I don't particularly like these red spines, if I'm honest. But I mean, you know, there's no comparison, is there? Anyway, Outrunners number 9. Number 8, there's a bit of a theme here. And we've got Outrun 2019. I must be honest, when I played this back in the day, I didn't think much of it. And I kind of dismissed it. It felt like, again, they were just using the Outrun name and tagging it onto some, you know, shitty modern game at the time that I felt was so inferior to Outrun, it was an insult. Having rebought this in recent times and played it, I really don't think this is bad. I mean, I don't think it really needs the Outrun name on it. But obviously they've done it to sell it, haven't they? You know, I understand that. But there is Outrun kind of themes in it where you can sort of choose your courses, and so I get it. But as a standalone game, this is not bad at all. I mean, it used to be dirt cheap. I don't think it is now. But it plays really well. It's got some nice music in it. I do think the graphics are a bit bland, but obviously at the time it was a futuristic game. 2019, I know. And they'd gone for a sort of a bleak apocalyptic look to it, I suppose. That was the theme. It looks drab in my opinion, but it plays and sounds really quite good. So I definitely recommend giving 2019 a try. Right, next up, this is a Genesis exclusive, and we've got Championship Pro-Am, which is the Megadrive version of RC Pro-Am on the NES, which is a fantastic game. This is the same game, obviously. Basically, isometric sort of track-based racing RC cars, power-ups, sort of oil slicks, obstacles, rockets to take out your opponents, and you've just got to basically finish in the top positions to progress to the next level. Fantastic game, made by Rare, obviously, if you didn't know. Stunning game on the NES, and it's just as great on the Mega Drive. It's just a shame there's no other version except the Genesis one. That said, it is quite a nice box. Well, the front anyway. The back and the spine are fairly dull. Right, what number are we up to? 6, is it? Yeah, number 6. So you might be expecting something different to this, but my number 6 is Outrun. Yes, you were probably all thinking this was going to be number 1. Obviously, the best game ever made. If you think differently, you're wrong. It's good on the Mega Drive. It's really decent, but it's got its limitations. But you know, when you think of the arcade game and it was running on your Mega Drive, it's a pretty damn good version, in my opinion. It's just not perfect, but it plays a damn good game of Outrun. It looks good, it sounds good, it plays well. It's a strong game, but it's just not quite as good as some other versions. So it had to go in here, I think, really. That brings us into the top 5. Now, the next 3 in the list are all kind of games that have got sequels. So rather than say, you know, include all these sequels, I'm just going to sort of pick them as a series, if you like, because they're generally all fantastic, much like Micro Machines. So anyway, my number 5 game is Super Monaco GP. Absolutely loved this back in the day. I mean, I loved the arcade game. I'm gutted we never got they've never released sort of an arcade archives or Sega Ages port on something of the arcade game, because I mean the graphics on that were absolutely stunning. And I was mad into F1 in the 80s, and you know, the Monaco GP was the best one going, and to have it recreated in such amazing detail in the arcade was incredible. Anyway, obviously the Mega Drive version looks nothing like the arcade. It's very simplistic. There's almost no sort of trackside scenery. You've got a bit in the background, but it plays essentially fantastically well. So obviously that's the original, and this is the updated one. You can stick either one in here. I personally prefer the Ayrton Senna sequel, because there was a bit more content, and it was fantastic having the Ayrton Senna speech samples, you know, throughout the game, because it's really well done. Fantastic games, and like I said earlier, these F1 games haven't aged well. To be honest, I think this one has, and it plays and feels just as good as it ever did. Still a fantastic game. That brings us to number 4, and we've got the Road Rash games. Now again, there's 3 of these, obviously. Insert whichever one you want here, whichever one appeals most to you. I've personally got more nostalgia for the first one. I played this one a lot more than I ever did. I don't remember playing much of the second one, if I'm honest, and I never liked the graphics on the third one. So for me, I think the third one is quite inferior to the first 2. I don't own the third one. For me, this is the one. But again, I played the 3DO and PS1 version quite recently for Steve's Challenge. And I mean, such a stunning game. Hadn't played the Megadrive one for quite some time, to be honest. And when I tried this yesterday, oh, it's still so good. It essentially plays just like the 3DO version, just with obviously more pixel style graphics than, you know, the next generation was. Still fantastic. What a game, and it still looks really, really nice. You just can't go wrong with Road Rash. What a game. Why have they not come out with a modern version of Road Rash? You know, it's madness. Anyway, number 3. Again, we've got 2 of these on the Megadrive, and we've got the Lotus games. Obviously, the first original, and we've got Lotus 2 Rex. Now, these are obviously ports of the Amiga originals. And for me, this will always be an Amiga game. And the original Amiga game is by far the best. It's a stunning game. It's one of the best games ever made. Which essentially is the original version of Top Gear on the SNES, going off on a tangent. Anyway, the original Lotus on the Mega Drive is actually Lotus 2 off the Amiga. And then Lotus 2 on the Mega Drive is essentially Lotus 3 off the Amiga. So, like I say, Lotus 1 is by far the best game, but these are both still fantastic. My one gripe with this one is the fact that there's no in-game music. It really detracts from the game. I find it really quite irritating. When the music in the original Amiga one, not like the original Amiga Lotus 1, not Lotus 2. There was no music in the Amiga Lotus 2 either. But why, when there was so much amazing music in the original Lotus Turbo Challenge, did they take it out completely from the sequel? Hence this game. It makes no sense. I mean, that, again, when they put it on the Mega Drive, why didn't they put some music into it? I mean, there's fantastic music on the title screen, but just sound effects in the game. It's such a shame, which is why I think I prefer this one on the Mega Drive, because there is some in-game music in this. They're essentially the same game, really. There's more content in this one. This one's more of a combination of the original Lotus and Lotus 2 off the Amiga. As in, you can play it sort of track-based or driving through the countryside on a like a route based on sort of different, like traditional roads. Essentially, you're not repeating the same course in a lap formation. You're going from point A to point B, and you can do both on this. So that's the better game, I think, on the Mega Drive. But the Lotus games are amazing. Like I say, they got turned into Top Gear on the SNES and Top Gear 2 on the Genesis. and in more modern times they've morphed into Horizon Chase, which is without question the best racing game made in the last 20 years since Outrun 2. Right, we're on to number 2, and this is quite staggering in many ways. And we've got Virtua Racing, and I love this box in the grey box, the Japanese version. Stunning. Yes, you could argue this game looks really quite ropey, and compared with the arcade, it is. But get your head around it. To think that the Sega arcade of Virtua Racing was even contemplated to be put on the Megadrive, which was such ancient technology compared with the arcade cabinet. You know, to think it could even be done is amazing. I mean, I know, and it's running natively on a standard Megadrive. I know there's a custom SVP chip inside the cartridge, and the game was 70 quid to buy when it came out. But all that aside, to get this playing, looking and running like it does on the Megadrive, what an achievement. I mean, the 32X version is way better, but essentially this plays fantastically well. It just looks a bit rough. It's kind of like the Daytona principle on the Saturn. It looks a bit rough, but it essentially plays, you know, spot on to the arcade. And I think it's such an amazing achievement. Fantastic game. And I mean, I love Virtua Racing, so that had to be in there. So, the number 1 game, the best racer on the Megadrive. It's quite an easy choice, aside from Virtua Racing, really. But it's so good. The clue's been in the video the whole time, and it's super hang on. What a game this is. And whereas a lot of these other races were a pale version of their arcade counterparts, this game is a magnificent rendition of the arcade game, which we've got running here on the PS3. What a fantastic game this is. It looks fantastic, it plays fantastic, it's got great music. Yes, by modern standards it's got low content, you know, there's only 4 courses. I don't care, I don't want content. This is a stunning game, and one of the cheapest games you can probably buy on the Mega Drive, I would imagine. You can't go wrong. If you like racing games, Super Hang-On on the Mega Drive is as good as it gets on the Sega Beast. Do yourself a favour and get it played. Super Hang-On, the best game on the Mega Drive. Well, the best racing game on the Mega Drive. There we go, bit of fun. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon. Sayonara.